So, I've been sick the past 2 days, which is why I haven't had any content. I'm still sick, which is why I sound weirder than normal. You're gonna have to deal with coughing, sneezing. I can't taste anything. I have a cup of coffee to reduce inflammation, shit like that. It is also hot as hell in this room, and I don't understand why. But I can't afford to drop the temperature too much, otherwise I'm gonna start fucking freezing to death. So we'll see. This is gonna be a review for the Stranger Things patch. I stockpiled a ton of iridescent shards and blood points and shit like that. I've been waiting for the shrine to reset. Okay, they're all 2,000. I guess I'll read my report. I was actually waiting for the shrine. If I had felt better yesterday, I would have done it. Because here's my issue. So I spent 1.6 million blood points. And I only managed to get Steve to 30 and Nancy to 28. And that shit aggravated the fuck out of me. I just want to get her to 30. I guess I could go for the better together 3. I'll switch to killer now. I have not put any blood points into killer yet, which is an issue for me. Yeah, I need to put some points into my demo board. Yes, my pretty, hello. Oh, corrupt intervention. Yeah, I'm not a fan of corrupt intervention anymore. I used to like it as a killer. Then I actually played it more. I discovered that. Oh, Huntress, yes. About 8K. What do I have here for my second person? Definitely Huntress Lullaby here. That's pretty good. Alright. Sorry for all that. So let's take a look at the Stranger Things. Bring this up. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. I want to talk a little bit about Oblivious and Undetectable. They're not really that game-breaking. Once I know I have the Oblivious effect, I pretty much just know now that all I have to do is, like, I just need to pay a lot more attention. You need to keep your camera angle. It's basically like if you're going up against a ghost face. You need to see if you're going to be doing that. Sorry, I don't like that hat when I'm streaming. That hat is annoying. I need to turn my camera a little. Readjust my camera. Okay. So the thing for me, so we look right here. We got the Oblivious blah 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 blah. We'll talk about this later on. I want to talk about the nightmare here. So the nightmare now applies the Oblivious stats effect to survivors when he brings them into the dream world, and they remain oblivious while in the dream world. This is actually a really strong buff to nightmare, because of the fact that it gives me a reason to get out of the dream world. Because before, I'm one of those people that I don't get out of the dream world unless there's a clock, unless it's like there's a clock near my next objective. So for example, if I have to go for an unhook and the clock is right there, I'll wake up. That's about it. I don't give a shit about the lullaby, but this does though. There's a reason why this change is so aggravatingly strong, because there is a lot of survivor perks that are completely countered by this. Probably the two biggest examples are going to be Borrowed Time and Stakeout. Both of these are useless. I actually played a game yesterday where I had stakeout, and I could not get it to work because I was in the lullaby, and it forced me to get out. But the problem was, in the way the game was going, I couldn't get out. So, I don't like that. And people say that certain perks like Chlorophobia and Overwhelming Presence, which activate off a terror radius, you know, those are gonna work. To be honest, I don't really see any terror radius perks on Freddy being that strong. Other than maybe Chlorophobia with Sloppy Butcher, Phobia, Nurses, and having like some action speed penalties and stuff like that. The extra stuff in the Blood Web, I'll show that off later on. I'm not showing it off in this video. 2 new scoring events as the Obsession, yeah. They did the change to Left Behind, which now makes the perk viable. It's not a great perk, but it does help with it. I think this is going to be a very beginner-friendly perk, but it's going to be one of those beginner-friendly perks that a lot of people can use. If people say, like, Deja Vu, oh, Deja Vu is such a beginner-friendly perk, it's not really good for advanced, high-level play. I think Left Behind can be, but you're better off running a perk to help get the game going faster, rather than just, oh, hey, I can see the hatch now. My thing is the hatch aura going to be revealed no matter what? Because if they close the hatch, is that going to, like, still reveal it? I haven't tested that yet. Dark Sense, that's a change of life buff that they should have had to begin with. Dying Light, the rework on Dying Light is just stupid. It makes the perk basically useless. This is bug fixes and stuff like that. This is the thing I wanted to talk about. Do they have it here? No, they don't have it here. No, they don't. Okay. So, let us... By the way, this is the new Play Survivor lobby. And I have 2 big problems with this lobby. I am one of those people that I like to ship out invites to people while they're in a game or while they're loading in, and I'll just wait for them. The problem is you can't, because when you go to invite friends, anyone that is already in a match cannot be invited. And anyone who is offline cannot be invited. I have to be online, and I have to request to join. So if I'm offline, and I have a friend of mine that's offline, we can't join. We can't join. One of us has to come online for it to work. Like right now, I am offline. I'm offline because I wasn't feeling well, but I have a bunch of Dead by Daylight content I want to get out. Because I'm precious. So I don't like that system. It also takes fucking forever now to create lobbies. To just create a lobby to play together, plus the amount of time it takes. Custom game is really annoying now. But on the bright side, it doesn't knock me out every single time by saying, hey, you want to invite people. So it makes streamlining videos. So let us talk about the Stranger Things DLC here. So we're going to talk about the Demogorgon. Power. I see her as being at the same level as a Huntress. She's slightly less than Huntress. She's slightly above Freddy. She's right in there. What Freddy offers is an immense level of mobility and mind game potential. So he can mind game survivors very well between the pallets and the stairs and his fucked up lunge range. And he also has some map pressure with his teleport. But good survivors won't get mind gamed as much, and the teleport has a pretty hefty cooldown on it. The Huntress is incredibly strong because she has the ability to create better pressure at range than most killers. But you have to be able to aim with her. You have to have decent accuracy. My problem is, that's how I see the Demogorgon. Once you get comfortable with controlling her lunge and the lunge range, it is an incredibly effective tool. It is one of the best tools of the game. People say, well, the pig has that. The difference with the pig's ambush is, it is not as quick. The pig's ambush attack struggles because there is an audio warning before it happens. Let's start with that. There's an audio warning before it happens. And then once the attack has even gone through, it makes it very... Once the attack has actually gone through, it's pretty easy to juke it. Demogorgon is quick. Yes, I give the little head rear up, but as soon as I press the button, I'm going forward. Now, you can't control it like the pig, where you can move around in it. But I don't need to move around it, because sometimes that can lead to me juking myself. Her portals, now she can teleport, and we look at the other teleported killers. Obviously, it's not the same as the nurse. But I don't need survivors to trigger it, like with the hag. And survivors can also counter it by just crouch walking over them. And with Freddy, I don't have as long of a cooldown as Demogorgon as I do with Freddy. And another problem that Freddy has is map pressure. Because that's a critical thing that people forget a lot of times. His map pressure comes from his ability to teleport to generators. But when a generator is completed, it takes away your options. So if I'm a good survivor, I will, and all of the generators on a certain part of the map were completed. If we decide to 3-gen ourselves, I will lead Freddy to that half of the map. Because I can burn all the pallets and vaults there that I need to, because there's no gens being worked on over there. And when I finally get hooked over there, if another survivor comes in and gets me off hook, he can't quickly teleport back to that side of the map, because there's nothing for him to teleport to. With the Demogorgon, her traps take much longer than somebody like the hags to destroy. And I can get a little bit of a notification when they're being destroyed. If I'm using the Of the Abyss, where the rear the hands up and I start charging for the dash, I can see where they are. I think she's a pretty smart killer. Once you get the hang of her, she's going to become pretty lethal. What I will say is when I look at add-ons, I don't see the add-ons as being that overwhelming. I love this one, the Rotten Pumpkin. Increases the number of total portals, because unlike Freddy, or unlike the Hag, where they activate their ability, and... sorry. Fuck! They activate their ability, and it respawns if they use it again. That's not how she works. When you lay a portal down and you use all of them, they're gone. So I like having the extra portal. This, to me, isn't that great. Decreases the time it takes to open a portal. That just makes you come out of it faster. Not interested. Increase in movement speed while charging Of the Abyss. To be honest, it's not really that great. I'm not a fan of that. Slightly increases the shred missed attack recovery. That's pretty solid. But it only affects missed attack. Doesn't affect successful attack as well. Increases the time taken by survivors to seal a portal. That's pretty solid. Slightly increases the radius in which a survivor can be detected. Increase in movement speed while traversing the abyss. That's a really strong one, because you can stack that with, I believe, yeah, the deer lung. Moderately increases killer movement speed while traversing the upside. A lot of these actually stack, but they don't say they stack, which I kind of find weird. Like, this is the only killer where it doesn't say stacked on any of their abilities, but they do stack, so... Increases the total number of available portals, but it increases the recovery speed. That's a pretty decent trade-off. The thing you gotta realize is there's a brown add-on that's even stronger. But basically, if you want to run 8 portals, you have to put up with that. The power recovery of traversing the upside down, that's incredibly strong. Increases the duration of undetectable. That can be pretty decent, but I don't find it as useful. Increases the duration. Blindness status effect for 45 seconds. It's so weird. I find it very strong, but you're better off using other blindness stuff like Third Seal. Power recovery, that's incredible. This one is a buff to both, but it's not really that great. Moderately increases the time taken by survivors to seal a portal. Considerably increases the power recovery. Survivors under the get exhausted effect. And then you have your 2 ebonies. Now here's the problem that I noticed. With all of her add-ons, none of them are really game-changing. Like, the best one I would say would be the Unknown Egg, because it increases the power recovery. So what you have is the red moss, so colliding with the drop pallet while using shred will automatically destroy the drop pallet. The downside to this is if the killer stuns you, if you get pallet stunned while you're using your shred, you still have to endure the stun. Now they're actually thinking about making this base. And I would agree with that. If they made that ability part of her power, and they reworked that, I think I would be okay with having the stud if the shred automatically broke the pallet. But it makes her feel a bit like a discount billing. And the Lepros like it. This is a great one. Reveal the aura of all injured survivors while traversing the dead. That is fantastic. Because you can teleport just to know where survivors are, because if they're not healing and stuff like that, that's great. I want to look at the perks now for the Demogorgon. Surge. It's alright. I don't think it's that strong. So they increase the radius of it and they decrease the regression. A lot of people complain about that. They wanted the extra regression. I'm okay with that. Because before it was at 12%, which is half of Pop Goes the Weasel. But Pop Goes the Weasel has a much better activation cost to it, because you have to hook a survivor. That means you potentially have to go through a long chase. You have to put up with a lot. You have to put up with a lot of shit, and then you get that basically the insta crush on a generator. This is as simple as just doubting somebody with a basic attack. I mean, if you run up against a no miss or army, this will be activated every 5 seconds, basically. And the cooldown reduction, which we're going to talk about in another video, that's going to be the next one, is solid. But I think the problem that I really have with this perk is there are not a lot of maps where the generators are, there's 2 generators within 32 meters. So it basically only means 1 generator at a time is getting affected by this. And it only affects generators on the same level as you. So on certain maps, you're not going to get this. And what I mean by that is some of the map variants where there's an upstairs generator. So obviously the Hawkins one, it only affects the gens on the same level as you. Meatpacking only affects the gens as the same level as you. Preschool, all the preschool variants are like that, only affect the same level as you. To a certain, the swamp is different because it has there's a little bit, the swamp's different. I know McMillan, there's a McMillan one. No, hold on. Cold Tower, where there's the one at the top right there. That is not, because I just played a game on Cold Tower with Surge. That is not affected by Surge. If you down a survivor up there, because that's one of the maps where there is actually multiple gens, because you have the one at the top of the Cold Tower and there's one usually at the bottom of it. But the problem is, I down somebody up to the one up top, it explodes, the one below didn't, and vice versa, and that aggravates me. Another problem that I have as well with Surge is if you're downing somebody on a side of the map where the gens have already been completed, the perk is useless. Mindbreaker. Not a fan of this. I thought it was going to be as powerful as it is. So basically, while repairing generators with less than 50% repair progression, survivors are afflicted by the exhausted effect. And once they end it, it means that they can't. Basically, it means you can't sprint burst off of a generator. But that exhaustion effect goes away when the gen gets above 50%. So if I'm running Prove Thyself, and I have another person on the gen with me, we can get that gen up pretty quickly. This is a good perk to run with something to slow down gen speeds, like Thanatophobia or Ruin, because it prevents the gen from being done as fast. But the problem that I have with this is it just isn't that game-breaking. Like, it's an annoyance, but it's nothing game-breaking. This is an evil one, is Cruel Limits, which should be called Cruel Confinement. That's what it should be. I don't know why they simplified it, but basically, anytime a generator is completed, all windows and vaults locations within a 24-meter radius from the completed generator are blocked for all survivors for the next 30 seconds. And the way that stacks is 20, 25, 30. This is another perk that got a little bit of a nerf. Talking about this perk specifically, 2 things I want to mention. A, this is lethal. B, unlike Surge, this is not effective. This is everything within 24 meters. Now, while I like that, the problem that I have with this perk is that it doesn't really do a lot. unless I'm already, like, if I'm trying to if you're on that gen, you're just trying to pop the last gen, and you're like, fuck it, let's pop the last gen, I'll take getting down. It limits your options to get away, but if you're on the other side of the map and this pops, I mean, you're fucked. You can't do anything with it, because even if it's blocked, let's say you have this at tier 1, and it's only blocked for 20 seconds, the time it's gonna take, if you don't have a portal over there to get over there quickly, you're fucked. You have no way to use this perk. Looking at the survivors, let's start with Nancy first. I'm not a fan of Nancy, but Nancy, a lot of people like Nancy's perks. Here's the difference to me between Nancy and Steve. Okay? Nancy's perks are designed to give solo survivors an advantage. Steve's perks are designed to give group survivors an advantage. And I see a lot of people saying they like Nancy's perks more than they like Steve's perks. I'm the opposite. I see a well-coordinated team being able to run Steve's perks very effectively. I see a well-coordinated team getting some benefit out of Nancy's perks. And let me explain what I'm talking about. So we have Fixated. So this is probably, I don't want to say it's our best perk, but it's between this and Inner Strength. I think this is going to be the best one for people that like to juke, because it lets you see your own scratch marks. So it lets you mind game the killer a little bit and actually see what you're doing. To be honest, I would rather, instead of while you're uninjured, you walk a little bit faster. I think they're going to remove that penalty, because that's how Urban Evasion used to work as well, if you remember. You got the movement speed bonus while you were uninjured. I think they're going to do away with that. I rather like the movement speed, because you can stack this with Sprint Burst and Urban Evasion, so you crouch walk faster, you regular walk faster, and you sprint faster. I think that's a good 1-2 combo. I have not been able to try out and see how big of an impact it really is, walking faster. And I'm one of those survivors, I like to walk everywhere. I don't need to crouch walk everywhere. I don't need to run everywhere. I'm very careful about it. So that's a great perk for me, because I'm one of those people that likes to do that. But it doesn't help the game a lot. It doesn't help your team out. It doesn't help. It's a very self-centered perk, and it can be effective for you as an individual, but I don't see it as something that like helps the team out. It's not like a botany knowledge. It's not like a borrowed time. It's not like a prove thyself. The other perk we have is Inner Strength. That's the other one that's vying for this. So basically, the way it works is when you cleanse the totem, you can then go into a locker, and if you're injured, you will heal yourself. And the way it upgrades is how long you have to be inside the locker for you to become healed. And it deactivates as soon as you use it. People say this is going to replace self-care. By no means is this going to replace self-care. If one survivor is running this, they can use it up to 5 times. I don't... For one thing, I see it being very difficult to use because of the fact that if you're... This is like the only perk that I would say of hers that's good in a group, because you can make call-outs to, okay, I've got a dull totem out, and stuff like that. This will encourage people to get rid of dull totems more, which will cut out no-ed, so people can stop bitching about no-ed, because they actually now have a reason to cleanse dull totems. What I disagree with, though, is if you have somebody, like, I will admit, I'm one of those people, and I know a few people, we run around and we cleanse dull totems. I'm one of those people, I see a dull totem, I'm gonna cleanse that. So that's 3, if I cleanse 3 dull totems and somebody's running this perk, I have fucked them over. I do see Thrill of the Hunt countering this perk a little bit, which is nice. I'm always happy to buff Thrill of the Hunt. I don't see it as being that strong, though. Hiding inside a locker for 8 seconds, that's great, but it's not that great. You can't use it in the middle of a chase, because you can't use, like, Quick and Quiet or Dance With Me. You can't use Head On, because if you have to use the head-on, it resets your counter. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. And then Discordiance's best friend, Better Together. So this is solid for solo play. But for group play, it's not really that great because I'm going to call it, hey, I'm on this jet. Right? But for solo play, it's not bad. Basically, the aura of the generator you are currently repairing is revealed to all survivors located within 32 meters. To be honest, I would like that to be buffed to be no matter where they are on the map. Because if it's a certain type of map, like Rotten Fields, for example, I'm like, hey, I'm in the cornfield. That people that have a bad time giving directions are gonna love this perk. So you make a left, and there's a tractor, and then you make another left, and there's a hook, and you make another left, and there's a totem, and if you make a right, there's a hook, but a little bit past that hook is gonna be a chest, and if you go forward approximately 3 seconds, you'll find the jet. This perk helps counter that. The other benefit there, when a killer downs a survivor while you're on a jet, you see the aura of all other survivors. That's like a knockoff Kindred. It's basically Kindred, but they were talking about making Kindred base kit for most survivors, so to be honest, I'm not really a fan of that. I don't think it's going to be that strong, and it gets countered out a lot by Discordiance as well. And I'm one of those people that loves running Discordiance. I think Discordiance is a very underrated perk, and this perk just is completely countered by that shit. It works well with Prove Thyself, but now you're running 2 perks that are based around completing generators at the same time, and also, this perk is useless on generators that only one person can work on, such as the one in Haddonfield. I also see this being used a bit as a knockoff version of Empathy, where you're on a generator, and somebody's there to chase, and they're like, oh, boy, there's a generator over there being worked on. Let me just bring the killer over and get them the fuck off me. And to wrap this video up, we're going to talk about my boy, Steve. Steve. I like Steve's perks. I really like Steve's perks. I never get to use them, because, let's talk about camaraderie. That's what I'm calling it, camaraderie. So, this is great. It's situational, but when you get to work, it's great. So basically, when another survivor comes within 16 meters of you while you are on the hook, the struggle timer will be paused for up to 34 seconds. This does not have a cooldown or anything. I also think it should have a 5-second internal cooldown before it resets, because this can reset all the time. This, to me, works well in a situation where the killer is camping you. I think this works well to counteract Leatherface spam, where Leatherface just sits there with a chainsaw already. This is gonna work, because I just sit there and keep tapping X. I'm struggling. I actually like this perk because of that, because I will make you DC. Just stay over there. He can't kill me. He's gonna have to DC. I see this as a very valuable way if you have a good teammate that can buy some time to where you can use this perk to effectiveness, but it's only going to come up on your second hook. If you get moried, completely countered. If you die on first hook, completely countered. If your team is right next to you and make the save as soon as you get hooked, completely countered. So I do see where it doesn't work well. But it's one of those niche perks where if you could pull it off, it's so strong. But the difference here is it lets you two-man quite effectively. I can have somebody keeping the killer busy running around the hook in a circle, and I just keep tapping X while the rest of my team gen rushes him. They can pop the last 4 or 5, the last, 3, 4 gens, while I'm on my second hook, and I just have somebody keeping the killer busy. It's like, the killer has to decide between walking away, letting me get off hook, or defending his jets. Now, they did buff Second Wind from the PTB, which I like. So the way this works is you have to perform 1 full heal on another survivor. Then the next time you get off a hook, you are broken for 30 seconds, 34 to 30 seconds. And you automatically are healed from injured to healthy. Before, the condition was you couldn't be in the killer's terror radius, which was shit. And it deactivates once you become healthy or if you're put into the dying state. I love this perk because it's like, I don't have to worry about anything. It's like, okay, I just gotta keep myself alive for 30 seconds. And a good survivor should be able to keep themselves alive for 30 seconds. Especially if there's something like borrowed time. Especially if there's, you know, I know there's a teammate nearby. If I have the right map where I can loop them, I think this is a very strong perk. I think the downside is you have to be able to get one full health state heal. And I find that very hard to do. I haven't been able to activate this perk because I can't get that full heal. Because I either have people that run away, or I have people that just don't let me heal them. I'm going backwards. The other perk I want to talk about, the last perk we're going to talk about before I cut the video off, Babysitter. So Babysitter is going to basically be the poor man's borrowed time. So when you unhook a survivor, the unhooked survivor leaves no scratch marks or blood trail for the next 8 seconds, and you and the killer share auras for 4 seconds. Now, there are 2 things I want to note about this. One, people say this is great because, oh, they're not going to tunnel anymore. That's not true. They know where you're unhooking them. So while you are sharing auras, reasonably, I can expect to figure out where the other survivor is going without the scratch marks or the blood trails. And unless they're running Iron Will as the injured survivor, I'm still going to be able to hear them. I do see this as being incredibly effective. I do see this as being, okay, I'll get you off a hook, you go run away and hide, and I'll take the aggro, which is a style of play I like to do. So I like how this works. I think this perk does counteract people that are like, okay, unhook me, and then you sit there and heal right afterwards because of the aura reveal. They're going to come back, and they're going to see you healing them. I'd be like, you fucking idiot, don't heal me. But overall, I think it's going to be, I think only time will tell. That's why I called this Stranger Things review early. That's the initial impressions that I have. So, thanks for watching.